Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the Citi Prime News. We're coming to you live from our studios at number 11, Dr. Martin Loop in Adabraka, Accra. My name is Ajua Tinkrama Domina. Coming up, patients seeking cancer treatment at the Konfanoche Teaching Hospital turned away as doctors and nurses at the hospital's oncology department intensified their strike over a broken down equipment.
We came, but they said they are on strike, so we can go home. We have been affected because my wife is seriously sick and there's no doctor.
Also coming up, mother of a third-year student at the Laboni Senior High School allegedly assaulted and suspended indefinitely lodges complaint at the Cantonment Police while demanding her son's reinstatement.
We are here at the Cantonment Police Station to report the assault on Abraham. We are asking the juniors to ensure the boss is reinstated and they should also investigate the matter. We don't trust the disciplinary committee of the school.
Still in the bulletin, residents of Alavanyo reject a renewed curfew on the Alavanyo and Nkonya Township, describing it as unwarranted.
Now that we are in peace, the government has started coming on. The Ministry of Interior have come out to play curfew on Alavanyo and Nkonya, which is taking the development away. So we are asking them to reverse the curfew back, do their proper investigation.
And later, New Patriotic Party intensifies calls for a probe into the alleged assault of a member of the party student Wayne Tescon at the Christian Service University in Kumasi.
Our determined position is that the police will investigate this issue and ensure that the perpetrators are brought to book. This morning, he went to the police office to lodge an official complaint.
We have details of these and more stories coming your way in the next half hour. Remember, the blessing is live around the globe on citinewsroom.com. You can find us on YouTube and on Facebook on Citi 97.3 FM. Across the country, we're also live on a number of affiliates in the Western region. This is Premier 100.5 FM in Takoradi, Beach 105.5 FM in Takoradi. In the Bunu region, tune in to Greener 95.9 FM in Sunyani. In the Ashanti region, you can find us on Orange 107.9 FM in Kumasi, Volta region Global 105.1 FM in Ho, Adanu 107.7 FM in Adakluwoya, in the Northern region Diamond 93.7 FM in Tamale, in the Upper West region Westlink 88.1 FM in Lora, in the Upper East region Source 100.1 FM in Boko, and in the Northeast region you can tune into Scarp 101.3 FM. Please stay for details.
Citi Prime News at 12 midday. Update you on all the running stories and connect you to the newsmakers.
Grateful for your time this afternoon. Let's begin from the Ashanti region, and some patients visiting the oncology department of the Konfanoche Teaching Hospital in the region to seek medical services are being turned away as doctors intensify their strike over a broken down equipment. The doctors are not attending to new cases and other referrals to the department, but those who were scheduled to come for their medication are being attended to. Now, doctors at the department began their strike on Monday over what they say are delays by the hospital's management to repair the linear accelerator used for radiotherapy services. Patients are now bearing the brunt of this action by the doctors, and they are now forced to travel to the Kolebu Teaching Hospital here in Accra for medical care.
They are still on strike. The doctors are not coming. They are not working. Today, only one doctor is working. We have been affected because my wife is seriously sick and there's no doctor. We see some patients over here, and even most of them they have gone, and most of them are not coming because of the strike. So we have been affected.
What's the option for you?
My option is government should pay attention to them, because they are saying that their machines that they are using has got spoiled, and they have been complaining that the government is not paying attention. So my option is the government should come in to see their needs and then provide for them to do their work. They said it's a tumor that has caused him and it's blindness. That's why, but we will check on his liver. The liver has damaged a little, and they said we should come and they make him injection, put an injection on him. So we came, but they said they are on strike, so we can go home.
You heard the voices of some persons who have brought their relatives to seek medical services at the Komfanochi Teaching Hospital, but they've been turned away due to the protests by the doctors. We'll follow up on this and bring you updates in subsequent bulletins. But now, aggrieved parents of a student at the Laboni Senior High School in Accra are currently at the Cantonment Police Station to report an assault case against the award. They have already petitioned the Director General of the Ghana Education Service seeking his intervention to reinstate their son in the boarding house so he could write his final exams. Now, according to the petition, the third-year student was withdrawn from the boarding house without justification. Reports state that the senior housemaster allegedly detained and assaulted the student after he allegedly refused to hand over a mobile phone. Now, speaking to Citi News, the student's guardian, Raisa Ebu, said they don't trust any investigation the school may conduct, hence their decision to involve the police and the GES in the matter.
We are here at the Cantonment Police Station to report the assault on Abraham and ensure the boss means cases, and they should also investigate the matter. We don't trust the disciplinary committee of the school because they mistreated this boy based on an allegation. And the school prefect has also been reported to be using a mobile phone, but he's still in the school. I mentioned this to the senior housemaster and he told me that they are mere allegations. And then I asked him if they are mere allegations and this senior boys prefect is still in the boarding house and still attending classes. Why is the case of Abraham different? He didn't give me any. For Abraham insists he was not having a phone. We have not bought a phone. He said he was not holding a phone. He was just standing on the corridor when the senior boys prefect approached him and demanded that he should allow him to fetch him. So he felt the boy was harassing him. That was why he didn't allow him to fetch him. So that was what happened. So we are looking that the GES will, as a matter of urgency, come and ensure the boy is being treated so that he will have absolute peace of mind to prepare for his upcoming rapid examination.
That was the guardian of the Laboni Senior High School student who was allegedly assaulted by the senior housemaster. Her name is Raisa Ebu. Now, let's move away from that story now. And members of the Colleges of Education Teachers Association of Ghana, CTAC, remain firm in their decision to continue their strike until the government implements a pending habitual award orders and negotiated conditions of service. The habitual award includes a payment of 1 month's salary to each member for additional duties performed in 2022. The strike, which began on Friday, June 14, 2024, persists despite an order from the National Labour Commission for CTAC to call off the strike. Now, the association explains that the government has been slow in implementing the required measures. Speaking to Citi News, the General Secretary of the association, Thomas Ampoma, says a meeting on Thursday, June 27, between the parties involved will determine their next line of action.
Last year, the same strike we went 2 times. All were based on this arbitration award. And the commission, in the first instance, asked them to implement it. They didn't. May. In August, they also asked them to implement by October, and they didn't. So now, we told the commission that until the monies hit our accounts, we will not consider, because 2 times we were asked to call off our strike, and the government did nothing. More than a year now. So the onus now lies with the government. So CITA has nothing to negotiate, to discuss, nothing. So LSE asked us to come Thursday to see the compliance that the government will come and show us. So we will go to LSE on Thursday to see what government will present.
Thomas Ampoma is the General Secretary of the Colleges of Education Teachers Association of Ghana, CTAC. Away from that now, natives of Alavanyo in the Volta region have expressed strong opposition to the renewal of curfew on the Alavanyo and Nkonya townships. The Ministry of the Interior, in a recent press release, renewed the curfew on the 2 townships without giving a specific reason. According to the paramount queen of Alavanyo, Mamaga Ameto III, despite the long-standing land dispute, the 2 townships have coexisted peacefully for the past 7 years, rendering the curfew renewal unwarranted. Mamaga Ameto stated that the directive undermines peace efforts between the 2 communities and hinders development.
Though there was a conflict between us, but they are put that behind us. We want to move forward. We want development. Now that we are in peace, development has started coming on. the Ministry of Interior have come out to play curfew on Alavanyo and Nkunya, which is sucking the development away. Example, the incumbent MP want to bring development. Now, because of the curfew, the development has stopped. The Alavanyo side, the center, the Canadian embassy has also put embargo on their staff not to go to Alavanyo and Nkunya to do any developmental issue because the place is not safe. While we are smoking peace. Now there is a road between Alavanyo and Nkunya, which we think, or I believe, or government should develop so that the peace should continue smoothly. They are not even doing that. There's a research committee, there's a news committee in place in the region. No information from them. Then the minister just came up from nowhere just to announce curfew in Alavanyo and Nkunya, which is bringing development in the area. So we are asking them to reverse the curfew back, do their proper investigation.
You have a paramount queen of Alavanyo, Mamaga Ameto III. Now, away from that, the founder and leader of the Movement for Change, Alan Kwejochua-Mateng, says he will consolidate anti-corruption agencies under an independent authority if he is elected president. The party successfully launched its manifesto named the Great Transformational Plan yesterday with a focus on areas such as governance, economy, and the Labour Front. Addressing the gathering at the launch, Alan Kwejochua-Mateng questioned the effectiveness of the numerous government institutions tasked with combating corruption, noting that corruption continues to persist despite their existence.
Isolate all corruption-related provisions in existing legislation and consolidate them into one omnibus legislation. That's the only way you can fight corruption. Right now, Flag says they are dealing with corruption. Yoko is dealing with corruption. Office of Special Prosecutor is dealing with corruption. So who is actually dealing with corruption? The definition of corruption is in abeyance. And so we are proposing that we will amend the Constitution not just to consolidate all this legislation that is supposed to be fighting corruption. We will consolidate that and appoint an anti-corruption czar who will have independent prosecutorial authority. Wow. Separate from that of the Attorney General. Because you cannot have a special prosecutor who derives his legal authority and power from another person.
You heard Alan Kwejochua-Mateng. He is a founder and leader of the Movement for Change. Well, reacting to some of the things Alan has been saying, a senior lecturer at the University of Cape Coast, Dr. Jonathan Asante-Okyere, has questioned the suggestion by Alan Kwejochua-Mateng on scrapping the Council of State if elected president. In an interview with Citi News, Dr. Asante-Okyere questioned the criteria for selecting members to the proposed second chamber of parliament.
There are several questions that emanate from these two main propositions that you put forth. And the first is those representatives that he's talking about. How are they going to be nominated? How are they going to be appointed? And the point two is that over the period, the reason why the Council of State seemed to have become bastardized, as it were, as an institution of state, is the fact that the executive presidency is not obliged, by the advices and the propositions and ideas, that they give the executive president. So how then would we be certain that he is going to abide by the ideas that this second chamber, will put forth that he is going to abide by when he becomes the president?
Now, suggestions by Alan Kwejochua-Mateng for the extension of the presidential term limit to 5 years, Dr. Jonathan Asante-Okyere says the idea needs clarification.
Why are you talking about 5 years? 4 years that the executive presidency that we have adopted from the Americas and that of a mixed, governance structure with respect to the British one. What has happened to it that 4 years is becoming too short all of a sudden, that you are proposing 5 years? Is it the case that after 5 years, nobody will have the opportunity to go for a second term or something like that? So we need to know. When you put ideas out there, it ought to be interrogated. And we need to put alongside by it by asking data-driven, scientifically data-driven, questions and results. That is how our politicians will be able to learn from the fact that, look, you just cannot go out there and put any idea that you think, people will just buy into that, and then all of a sudden you win power.
Dr. Jonathan Asante Ochre is a political science lecturer at the University of Cape Coast. You're listening to the Citi Prime News. When we return, New Patriotic Party intensifies calls for a probe into the alleged assault of a member of the party's student wing. We'll bring you the details shortly. Please stay with us.
Citi Prime News at 12 midday. Update you on all the running stories and connects you to the newsmakers.
Channel 1 TV is live on DSTV, GoTV, and HD+. On DSTV, find us on Channel 363. On GoTV, we're on Channel 117. And on HD+, get us on Channel 108. On a digital TV, run a new search. But take note that without an antenna, you cannot access Channel 1 TV. Channel 1 TV can be accessed on any free-to-air digital box, like the DSTV and HD+ boxes. Channel 1 TV. Telling your story, empowering change.
Citi Prime News at 12 midday. Update you on all the running stories and connects you to the newsmakers.
You're welcome back. Now, the New Patriotic Party has intensified its push for a probe into the alleged assault on a TESCON member at the Christian Service University by some persons believed to be affiliated with the opposition National Democratic Congress. The victim, Nana Boachi, a student at the Christian Service University, was allegedly attacked by some NDC members during a public lecture by former President John Mahama at the university's campus. The victim incurred the wrath of his alleged attackers when he remarked that Mahama will lose, in his words, while the former president was delivering his speech. Although the NPP admitted that the victim made the remarks, the party condemned the attacks on him and called on the Inspector General of Police and the Ashanti Regional Police Command to arrest the perpetrators. The NPP's Director of Communications, Richard Ahiagba, speaking during a news conference in Kumasi, said the police must ensure justice is served on the matter.
I've done nothing wrong, but the NDC took advantage of him in our auditorium where we have police people. They slapped him and later on beat him mercilessly outside the auditorium. Our determined position is that the police will investigate this issue and ensure that the perpetrators are brought to book. This morning he went to the police office, the regional office, to lodge an official complaint. Apparently, this should have been done much earlier, but he wasn't too well. He was completely devastated. His family, we visited him on Saturday, and it was an eyesore. So today he feels much better and has gone to lodge an official complaint of the matter. Now, we are urging the police to investigate this expressly without delay, to ensure that the perpetrators are punished according to law, because they have gravely violated his human rights, and our brother primarily was expressing himself.
Richard Ahiagba is the Director of Communications for the New Patriotic Party. Away from that now, a governance specialist, Professor Bafwa Jumaidua, has reiterated calls for a legislation to check presidential appointments. The call comes on the back of public concerns over the size of President Akufo-Addo's government following the appointment of Executive Secretary to the President, Nana Asante Bediatuo, as an ambassador at large. Despite the President's explanation that Mr. Bediatuo will perform both roles simultaneously, there's been public outrage about the recent appointment, which makes Asante Bediatuo an ambassador without a specific diplomatic post. Professor Bafwa Jumaidua has therefore called for the use of law to limit the executive powers of the president.
That is important to have a certain prescriptions in law, especially when we have done this for 30 years. And we know that because there's no limit on how many ministers and how many agencies a president can create, because of this new thing, and you take advantage and come and say, I want 200 ministers, or I want this, or like somebody is promising, if I'm president, I'll give allowances to that, if I'm president, I'll create this. As if they come into government and everything that we have as a country belongs to them, and they decide how to use it.
You heard the governance specialist and chief executive of the John Agyekum Kufuor Foundation, Professor Bafo Ajimai Dia. Let's move on now. An unknown group of illegal miners operating in Osino within the Fantiakwa South district of the Eastern region have resumed their activities along the main Accra-Kumasi highway. On February 8, 2023, the leadership of the Ghana National Association of Small-Scale Miners visited the site and observed deep hollow cracks and water-filled holes created as the miners diverted the course of the Brim River meters away from the highway. Now, following a Citi News report, the illegal miners temporarily ceased operations. However, they have returned with renewed vigor, mining on the opposite side of the road where the Electricity Company of Ghana has its transmission lines and other installations, leaving electricity poles precariously positioned. Now, Citi News has learned that the Ghana National Association of Small-Scale Miners plans to petition the Minerals Commission, the Environmental Protection Agency, and the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources over the severe damage being caused by these illegal miners. Although sources indicate that the Fantiakwa South District Security Council has instructed all miners in the area to undertake reclamation efforts, the lives of thousands of people traveling on the Osino stretch of the Accra-Kumasi highway remain at risk. Any significant downpour could cause that portion of the road to cave in. We'll follow the story and give you updates in subsequent bulletins. But now President Akufo-Addo says the law on vigilantism and related offences will be strictly enforced in the lead-up to the December polls. And Akufo-Addo says irrespective of the political party or presidential candidate involved, the law will be enforced. Speaking at the swearing-in of some ambassadors and high commissioners at the Jubilee House, the president says the 2024 general elections will be devoid of any violent acts.
Ghana has been in our generation a beacon of democracy on the African continent, and it is our collective duty to safeguard this reputation jealously. Anyone who seeks to subvert the free will of the people will be dealt with in accordance with law. No candidate or political party is superior to the will of the Ghanaian people. Government is determined to enforce strictly the law on vigilantism. Any individual or group found culpable and falling foul of the law will be made to face its full rigors. Vigilantism has no place in our democratic space, and we must all work together to ensure a peaceful and orderly election period.
Well, President Akufo-Addo also announced the resumption of all stalled projects across the country after the government successfully negotiated a deal with the International Monetary Fund, which will see the next tranche of $360 million released to Ghana.
The completion of these negotiations has paved the way for the IMF's Executive Board to convene at the end of this week, on Friday, 28th June, to approve Ghana's second review of the fund program, which will result in a further disbursement to Ghana of $360 million in support of the program. Many of the projects stalled as a result of the debt in negotiations will now resume. In the face of these adversities, Ghana has shown remarkable resilience. We have embarked on a comprehensive strategy to revive our economy, and I'm pleased to note that our efforts are bearing fruit. Indicators of economic recovery are visible, and we're steadily progressing towards our goal of a prosperous and self-reliant Ghana beyond aid.
That was President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Moving on now, the Minister for Works and Housing, Kojo Nkrumah, has disclosed that the government's new flood early warning system will be operational before the next rainy season. The system aims to provide advanced notifications of flood-prone areas prior to each downpour, aiding the preparedness of residents in vulnerable regions. Speaking at the sword-cutting ceremony for the reconstruction of the Nima Paloma Drain, part of the Greater Accra Resilience and Integrated Development Garrett project, the minister highlighted the government's commitment to mitigating the impact of the perennial flooding experienced in previous years.
The Water Resources Commission, the Ghana Meteo Agency and NADMO through the Garrett project is establishing a flood early warning system for the Greater Accra region. The early warning system will provide advanced notification of impending floods to residents in flood-prone communities so that they can take steps to protect their lives and properties ahead of a flooding event. In December last year, the ministry distributed the equipment to support the establishment of the Accra Flood Early Warning System to the implementing institutions. These equipment have since been installed across a number of basins in the Greater Accra region. We have engaged a service provider early this month to set up and operationalize the Flood Early Warning System platform. And it is expected that the operationalization of the system will be completed before the next rainy season to help mitigate the devastating impact of floods on residents of the Greater Accra region.
Kojo Nkrumah is Minister for Works and Housing. Now, the coalition of CSOs in health has called off their protest over the release of essential Global Fund medications stuck at the port, following what they describe as a Ministry of Health's demonstration of goodwill by clearing the drugs. The critical drugs for malaria, tuberculosis and HIV had been detained at the port, raising concerns about potential shortages in medical facilities across the country. The Global Fund had threatened to sever ties with Ghana if the impasse over the detained medications were not resolved. Or president of the Network for Persons Living with AIDS, LCI, says 112 containers have been cleared, with 70 more left to be cleared by end of this week.
Most of them had been cleared from the ports. The temporary medical stores where things are being kept have given the information that they have received 112 containers, and there's another set of 70 which they are hoping to receive this week. So that is what we got. And so based on this and the goodwill, the expression of goodwill and willingness to keep to their words, we decided we were putting the demonstration on hold and see how we move on from there. Now, the numbers that have been cleared, they are very huge. So where they are stored now, they still haven't gotten to the facilities where they will be needed. So we are also looking at that. What has been put in place to ensure that they now don't remain the central medical store.
That's the president of the Network of Persons Living with HIV, LCIA. Still on health, the Minister of Health, Dr. Bernard Okuboy, has given assurances that the Sewa Government Hospital and the Afari Military Hospital will be operational by August this year. Speaking during his visit to the Ashanti region to inspect hospital facilities, the minister indicated that he will work with stakeholders and relevant institutions to ensure power challenges encountered are resolved to get the 250-bed capacity Sewa Hospital operational.
These power issues and all that, we are going to work together to make sure that as soon as possible, this project becomes useful to the entire region. I train in Kofanochi as a physician. The pressure on Kofanochi can only be taken off when there are other facilities that can partner Kofanochi. So we have a duty, and whether we like it or not, the pressure on the facility will determine the quality of the service. If you have one doctor who has to see 100, 200 people, I mean, how much time can you spend with one? And if you have 200 people fighting for a limited space, even the state of mind is also affected. So we are going to work with all stakeholders, the Power Ministry, Energy Ministry, the Regional Coordinating Council, the Ghana Service Agency, to make sure that these projects come up speedily. The Kwai, for example, it was started under President Kufuor. You had another regime for 8 years. It was still hanging in the air. The Kufuor government moved speedily to make sure that this particular hospital becomes operationalized. And it is the same attitude that we are going to attach to all the other projects.
Dr. Bernard Okuboy is Minister of Health, and that brings us to the end of today's edition of the Citi Prime News, which has been live from our studio in Adabraka, Accra. For more stories, please visit citinewsroom.com. My name is Ajwa Tinkrama Domina. Thank you for your company. Good afternoon.
City News. We speak first. Reach our hotline on 0302 224959 and get interactive on Facebook, Citi 97.3 FM, and on Twitter at Citi 973.
Citi 97.